top up the boilers. Similarly, it also aided with giving a supply of fresh water to wherever it was needed on the ship.
All the water used for the boilers, that's come from the water from the evaporators?
No. Like I say,
you have a lot of stock of fresh water, still water inside the hub?
There was a certain amount of fresh.
There is a huge reservoir inside, right, of water?
Oh yeah, you have storage. You have water tanks which are storing fresh water. Similarly, of course, the bilge tanks at the double bottom storing seawater. But because there is only a finite amount, and of course in the case of, say, the passengers, they are using fresh water for the most part, you need to try and conserve as much as possible, which is why the engines use the closed-loop system. The finished steam doesn't just go up the funnels, it goes into a condenser and is converted back into fresh water, which can be recycled as much as possible to save as much water as you can during your voyage. That said, of course, there are the evaporators, so you can always generate a bit more fresh water if you need.
Okay, great. Could we see something that you have those huge tanks with fresh water inside the hull, which are really with the coal? They do are, what do we say, the fuel for steam machines to travel the ocean, the Atlantic Sea?
Sorry, I don't quite follow.
They're using the coal for the boilers, but they are also using fresh water, still water, in order to manage the machines.
I intend to bring up the black gang, so the coal I intend to come on to.
You need the water in order to...
Okay, so if I start to kind of wrap up water and move on to coal, that sort of thing?
I just want to say, if you don't have coal, and if you don't have enough coal, and if you don't have enough water, the ship cannot sail.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Okay, right. At the end of the day, Titanic, for all her opulence and grandeur, is a massive steam engine. She's completely reliant on coal and water. Without these, she's not going anywhere. And so a decent supply of fresh water is vital to generate steam, as is having ample quantities of coal to keep the boilers burning. Okay. Shall I go on to the coal bit now?
Yeah,
would that be useful?
The coal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Titanic had power on Titanic largely comprised steam and electricity, but all of the power, this and everything else, was ultimately generated by hand, the black gang as they were called, because of the coal dust. Everything on Titanic ultimately went back to the boilers needed coal, and you had hundreds of men working in shifts around the clock, feeding the boilers with 600 tons of coal every day. This was an entire dedicated gang, kept away from the passengers. They had their own cabins, their own access points. The idea was, of course, you didn't want to see them being all dirty with coal, etc. And there was a number of people involved. This was quite something. It wasn't just a case of throwing coal on. You had your stokers who were feeding the furnaces. You have trimmers who maintain the levels of coal in the bunkers to aid stability and also bring the coal to the furnaces. You've got greasers maintaining lubrication on the engines. Of course, then you've got your engineering officers, etc. So you've got this entire team of people making sure that the engines are running at optimum capacity, it's economic, but to make sure that there is enough steam to go on. Just trying to think if there was anything else I needed to... the coal bunker fire. Yeah, that needs to be brought in.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, sure, let me just check. Yeah.
We can talk about the fire, the incendy which happened during the construction of the Titanic.
Which incident?
There was an incendy. I read that there was an incendy.
Yeah, fire. There was a fire
inside the Titanic.
Kept burning. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the same thing. Sorry, yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. An obvious danger with all coal-fired ships is fire. You want it in the boilers, you don't want it in the bunkers. Unfortunately, coal bunker fires were a common occurrence. There was no need for any concern about these, but nonetheless it needed to be managed. And it's believed that when Titanic was leaving Belfast, a coal bunker fire erupted. Some people have claimed more recently that this played a major role in the ensuing disaster. The short answer is it didn't. There was a tiny amount of damage to the bulkhead, not not very much per se, and of course it was put out by the 13th of April, over a full day before the engagement with the iceberg. Nonetheless, there was of course the difficulty of emptying that bunker faster than the others to get rid of the burning coal. Ironically, that emptying meant the Titanic departs Southampton with a very, very slight list, a slight lean. And it's now thought that rather than the fire being of danger to the ship, the fire might actually have helped save lives, because the very slight lean, the list, as a consequence, counterbalanced some of the flooding during the sinking itself, helping keep Titanic upright for longer.
Interesting. Just one question about this, about the damages on the hull caused by that fire. There's this piece of information up to Captain Smith ordered during the sailing to put some oil on the hull to hide the fact in New York that it was damaged, to go back to Britain as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yes and no. It's been corrupted is the simple answer. After the fire was put out, a small amount of warping was identified on an internal bulkhead, and one of the firemen reported that a bit of oil had been put on it just to mask the effect. More recently, there's been claims that the fire was causing damage to the external hull, hence the issue of the collision. Photographs have been brought suggesting this. However, the photographs actually are just showing the reflection of the water in the lagoon on the hull. There's no evidence whatsoever that the hull was in any way actually compromised. The fire was an unfortunate issue, but it was a reasonably unimportant one in terms of the tragedy that would later ensue.
So that's irrelevant.
It is irrelevant, but people think that it's a major thing, such as the power of controversy.
It's Senan Moloney who is saying that.
Yeah, that's right. I know Sen, and I really don't know why he came out from that, because he's a nice guy and he knows his stuff. He knows it's rubbish.
But sorry about this.
Yeah,
I don't want to pose about this, but this theory, just like others, seems there are two teams about Titanic enthusiastic and passionate. Those like you and I, even if I'm not an expert like you, who thinks that it was well built and everything happened for bad reason, which is just bad luck, and the other team, which wants something to be responsible for it. Do you feel like Moloney is that kind of is part of this team or not?
Senan is a good.
Off the record.
Yeah. Senan is nice to be able to discuss.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Huitième.
Okay, you can clap. Thanks.
Thank you.
After the propelling machinery, which is assembly inside the hull, what is the next step?
There's two final stages as far as Titanic's construction is concerned. Now we have the hull afloat with all the machinery inside. You're putting in your electrics, and once you have that part done, on the outside you're finishing off the superstructure, you're putting on the funnels, you're putting on the mast, the things which you now immediately associate with Titanic as a ship. But inside, you're now making it habitable. You're putting in all of the fixtures and fittings which are turning what is in essence just a metal box into the luxurious accommodation to rival anywhere on land. So you're putting in your cabins.
Sorry. It's okay.
So you're now putting in all your internal fixtures and fittings. So you're putting in your lighting, your decor, the doors, the panelling, your carpets, everything needed to make this the most luxurious ship in the world. Oh, you wanted to do a bit on the funnels. Did you want to do that now?
Yeah, of course. We're going back to the funnels. Maybe, is it difficult to put the funnels on stage?
What, I mean, put it...
Yeah.
Okay, right.
You do it, you are using still the Titan crane?
Yeah. It's...
or because we see the pictures at the beginning, what is the... where are the funnels conceived? How do they go to the harbour, to the wharf?
I got you. Yeah, all good.
Tell me all the story.
Probably the most iconic part of Titanic as a design are her four great funnels. These were built on land, complete units, which were then balanced on top of little railway wagons and brought down to the fitting out wharf. The crane 250 ton maximum load. Of course, not a problem to lift